Hi, thank you, everybody. My name is Jim Doulabakis. I'm from Entre, a social network for entrepreneurs. Thank you for coming. Thank you for celebrating women entrepreneurs. Before we begin, I just want to introduce two companies, actually four companies. Our first company is Nikai from Pork. Let her tell you a little bit about our company. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Nikai Lewis from Quirk, and what we do is we help companies start. So anyone here with an idea, raise your hands. See? Everyone else is already started, so you're kind of behind the game. We can help you. We can help you start. So April 27th, I'm starting a cohort called Quirk Ventures, and I'll be helping companies like you start and market. So that's where my expertise is in digital marketing, advertising, branding, and getting companies started. So if you'd like to create your future today with your idea, my name is Nikai Lewis, and I will be happy to talk with you after.
Thank you. Next is Erin from Thera, Inc.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Erin. I'm the CEO of Thera. And I'm from San Francisco, so I apologize, I'm a little jet-lagged, just flew in. So what we do is we provide live counseling using virtual reality with customizable avatars. So I myself am a working therapist, psychotherapist in a psychiatric ward. And so what my hypothesis was, why are we over-medicating children, especially children who are suicidal, self-harming, suffering from extreme depression, anxiety. So they go through this horrible experience of being hospitalized, but we're putting Band-Aids on them. We're over-medicating them. And so after working 5 years in the hospital, I listened to their voices and I said, you know, what is it? Like, what's happening to you in that moment when you want to hurt yourself? And all of them said, I just wanted to talk to somebody. I just wanted someone to reach out to and to be able to share my deepest, darkest feelings. What I did find out is they're more comfortable with the technology, right? Going to their social media, going to texting. So what Thera is doing is we're bringing humanity to these kids and youngsters and young adults using VR to teach them empathy, to remove that barrier of what it's like to just go to the couch, or even worse, go to a psych ward. So I invite you to experience our product. We're set up. I just have one headset with me, but we just did a new rendering, and it's a forest scene. So you're more than welcome to try it. And we just came back from South by Southwest. We were the Spotlight Startup in Austin, Texas, and we are launching in California as well as New York State. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. And I'll give it up to Addie and Nico from Startup NYC.
Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Nico. I'm with Startup NYC. We're a New York-focused accelerator that helps startups primarily from their seed to Series A round of funding, scale up and provide different services, including investor relations, web development, PR and marketing, all the things that you need to take your company from the next level, particularly if you've just raised a seed or family and friends round. We'd love to talk more and possibly help you. We've cultivated a network of investors and other founders and talent here in the New York City area, so one of the things we like to do is connect those three communities together. I want to give it over to my business partner, Addie, to talk about a couple of the conferences that we're working with.
Hi guys, I'm Addy with Startup as well, and we have some interesting conferences coming up. There's a youth conference coming up in June that we partner with. It's called the Next Gen Summit. I don't know if someone from Next Gen is here, they usually are, but either way, it's a conference that works on the basis of applications. There's no like tickets, like buying tickets and stuff like that. So if any of you young founders are interested in being a part of the summit, we had 700 people last year. And there's a lot of pitch contests as well as investors, and I've seen people get term sheets like during the conference. So that's in June. If any of you are interested in looking into that and getting a reference from us so you can actually purchase a ticket from the conference itself, then you can just write to us on info@startitupnyc.com. and that's info@startupnyc.com. And you can always catch me later on after that. Thank you so much, and thank you guys for coming. Thank you for the speakers. Thanks, Michael, again. We've been doing this together for a long time. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys. So without further ado, we're going to get started. If you don't know who I am, my name is Michael Mera. I'm the founder of Entre. As Jimmy mentioned, we have a whole community, and we're going to be releasing a social network app for entrepreneurs to help all of you connect with each other easier and faster, and really just streamline entrepreneurship as a whole. So just to get a show of hands to help maybe the speakers out too, how many people in the room are founders of a company currently? Okay, great. And how many have an idea but are trying to start, but they don't really know where to start? Okay, fantastic. And how many have already raised money? Okay, so just a few. All right, fantastic. Well, without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to Veronica. She's going to be moderating the panel, and yeah, let's have some fun.
Welcome, everybody. To start off, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Veronica Abson, and I'll be your moderator this evening. I want to thank Entre for organizing Women's Startup and Entrepreneur Night at Microsoft, so thank you. And as we know, we are here to support women entrepreneurs and openly discuss our stories to empower one another. So I also want to give all the women in here another round of applause to start. And today we have an incredible panel of women who knows what it takes to grow a business and have a love and passion for entrepreneurialism. So it's my pleasure to it's my pleasure to have you guys here at Microsoft. And I think that I'd like to start by give you guys a short intro. And then, because I want to have time to share 5 empowering stories, we will wait for the end for questions, okay? Sounds good.
Am I supposed to introduce myself?
I'm going to introduce you right now. Hello, Nicole. So, Nicole is a member of the investment team at Insight Venture Partners, a private equity and venture capital firm based in NYC. Insight has managed over $20 billion since 1995 and invested in over 300 software and internet companies. So let's. Alicia is the founder and CEO of Dibs Technology. Dibs has built a framework that automatically calculates the lifetime value of each customer, then delivers long-term incentives to customers that have the highest potential. In short, Dibs leverages data to drive long-term loyalty. Thanks for coming. Amy is a managing partner at Quake Capital Partners. Amy has extensive experience in building revenue, products, and market strategies for startup companies. Since the beginning of her career in TV, she has contributed to 6 acquisitions, 3 IPOs, and 2 early-stage fundraising cycles. Amy has been an advisor to Quake Capital since the launch of its accelerator program, providing market insights and tips to companies such as PIPA, Esports, Data Grand Frenzy, and University Beyond. Thank you for coming. Marianne is a 6-time award-winning author published by St. Martin's Press, a former digital managing editor at Black Enterprise Magazine. She's the founder of Alphanista, a peer mentoring platform for multicultural women in senior management. She works with women who struggle with identifying concrete gaps they have to reaching their next level and would like to get there with ease. Marianne brings together high-achieving women who tend to go at it alone and receive the exponential growth and expanded reach for other inspiring women. Thank you. Sue Ellen is known for her success building an Australia-born consulting firm, helping small to medium businesses and fast-growing startups create high performance from the top down. Her expertise is dealing with founders and entrepreneurs because she is one. Now she has taken her expertise to New York City to ramp up her knowledge and sharing. In addition, she is a co-founder of 2 tech startups that are both leading the way in their respective industries. Thank you. So, Nicole, why don't you start off by telling us what inspired you to become an investor?
Sure. So I studied computer science undergrad, and I've just always thought technology was an awesome space to be in, but didn't want to do software engineering myself for a variety of different reasons. Is it on? Is it on? Is that better? Okay. So studied computer science undergrad, recap, and wanted to be in technology, but didn't know exactly what that meant. So what I love about being an investor is that I get to work with a variety of different entrepreneurs, all in technology, all in software, but all going after different problems in different fields. So it's not necessarily so much being the actual athlete rather than the coach and the advisor and someone who can be there to be helpful. And I love my job just because I'm always learning, where because I will never know as much as any of you who are entrepreneurs about whatever it is that you're building, the challenge is always on me to try and keep up, so it always stays interesting.
So what kind of companies do you invest in?
Sure, so Insight as a firm invests pretty much only in software companies and some subscription consumer companies, ones that you probably would have heard of, like Calm and Active, and a bunch of enterprise software companies that you maybe wouldn't have heard so much about. I personally spend a lot of time in supply chain software, tax software, fintech. Recently worked on a payments company, so that goes back to the always spending time in different verticals. But overall software, and in terms of stage, we typically come in Series A onwards. So when a company is going out to raise about usually 5 to 10 million in capital, or more than that too.
So what have been your most successful investments thus far?
I can talk about one that is a newer one that I'm really excited about that might be useful to some of the folks in here that are starting businesses if that works. So I recently led an investment in a company called TaxJar. So who here loves doing taxes? Everyone? And who here, if you started an e-commerce company, would really be excited about doing sales and use tax? Everyone? That's why people start e-commerce companies, right? It's to do sales and use tax. So the company TaxJar, like Jar of Taxes, basically can plug into Shopify or whatever you're using and just totally deal with sales and use tax for you. So anyone who's starting an e-commerce company, it's also really cheap. So there are other options out there that are usually going after big companies that are already taking off that cost like $50,000 a year, which if you're a startup, you're not about to pay that. So TaxJar can be as low as like $500 or $1,000 a year and keeps you focused on running the business instead of dealing with your taxes. So that's why I'm really excited about that one, basically because no one likes taxes.
So what are your metrics when you are tracking, when considering an investment?
Sure, so particularly at sort of the Series A stage where it sounds like folks here are most focused on a more seed Series A, really we're looking for some form of traction and some form of repeatability on that traction. So sometimes that might be taking off in one market, like New York, you have a bunch of customers or a bunch of users, depending on what your business is. And then why we could believe you could do that in another market, or maybe you're going after your first 100 customers and we believe you can get your next 100 or your next 1,000. So depending on what stage you're at, we might be looking at active users, we might be looking at revenue, we might be looking at engagement, but really we're looking for those to be accelerating, particularly at the earlier stage.
Do you have a specific industry or geographic focus with the investments that you do?
So software and Insight is actually international, so about 40% of our investments are in Europe or Israel or Canada. And otherwise, within software, we're pretty agnostic. I personally don't happen to do as much in security or infrastructure software, but pretty much all the other areas I mentioned, accounting software, fintech, supply chain, payments. I spent a lot of time in healthcare and ed tech as well. Goes back to the constantly learning.
And so how about the failures? What was the toughest decision you have ever made, and why was it so difficult?
That's a fun question. I guess, let's see. Well, I guess what's always hard, just one of the hardest parts of my job is, I guess, the investments that we can't do, where it's the ones where I might know the founder really well. It might be an area that's not something that Insight focuses on, even if I really believe in the business. And it might be a founder I've built a relationship with that, for whatever million reasons, isn't a fit for Insight, where that's where investing can sometimes feel like relationships, where it does feel like a breakup if I tell a founder that we can't do an investment for whatever reason. So that over the last few years has never gotten any easier, but it's always important to me to maintain those relationships, and usually works out. And I usually handle those by just being as transparent as possible. Like I find a lot of times venture capitalists can just be evasive. I'm not giving real reasons, or just sometimes even ghosting is a thing in venture and investing as well as in personal life. So I usually try and just be respectful of everyone's time and honest, which I think applies to a lot of things outside of investing as well, just how people conduct themselves in business.
And what advice can you give entrepreneurs that are looking to raise money for their startup?
In terms of just like really basic, just how do you pitch, the biggest thing I can say for particularly early stage investing is just first thing you should do, whoever you're talking to, make sure they understand what your product is and what it does and who you're selling to. Where depending on what you're doing, especially when it's someone who might not spend a lot of time in your sector, you'd be surprised where someone could start off a pitch, say what they do in like 30 seconds, and then they start going off on like a million other different directions. And I'd like, wait, hold up, like what does the product do and who buys it and who uses it? Where if you can just nail that up front, you would be really surprised how many people will just actually breeze past the what is it you're actually selling and why.
And what are your most important lessons learned along this journey?
I guess few things. I guess sort of fake it till you make it is important on the investor side, on the entrepreneur side, on every side. And particularly, I mean, that is something that's been shown to be pretty gendered as well, where I'll always see my male colleagues just kind of pretend they can do a certain piece of analysis or pretend they know a certain piece of sector, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I try and do that, and I mean, same thing with on the entrepreneur side. But I would say the caveat of that is also know what you don't know, where kind of know when you should be faking it, and also know when you probably shouldn't be, and know when to ask for help in that respect.
And I have a last question. Have you had any challenges being a woman investor in a male-dominated investing world?
I would say a lot of it is sort of the annoying microaggressions that I'm sure all of us see every day, like the being left off of emails or calendar invites because people assume I'm an EA, not the investor, or people assuming that maybe I'm not able to do something as quantitative, even though that's actually my strongest skill set, or just like the little things that kind of scratch at you, which I think that's just where sort of thick skin and can come into it. And I also always try to use those as learning experiences for my male colleagues. I'm like, oh, I wasn't included on that invite because they thought I was an EA, and every single time, wait, what? That happens? Like, I am shocked. And I'm like, yeah, no, that is like a very common thing. Like, it still happens to like partner level people too. So I always also try and point it out to other people, because that's how people can help me, is if they notice I'm not on a calendar invite, they can forward it to me and I won't miss that meeting. So pointing it out to people I found is also important.
I think that's a good segue into Amy, because she's another investor on the panel. And I could follow up with that same question. How has it been a female investor in a male-dominated investing world?
Yeah, can you all hear me? I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, so forgive me. It's kind of hideous, I know. So I've been a VC and invest in the VC community for a year now. So I can't say that I have a ton of experience, but I think even just in the past year, I've witnessed female colleagues, female women in VC get talked to differently than men. I, in my career, have had amazing male mentors. So my experience has been nothing but great in working with men. Yes, I've been left out of golf games and that kind of everything. But I've also had great mentors that were men. So I can't really say that I've had a horrible experience. But what I can say is, for the men in the room, don't ever assume anyone is in any position if they're in a group and you're talking. That female, well, no matter what color she is or who she is, give her the same exact questions and respect as the other men in that conversation. Don't ever assume. Don't ever assume ever. You never know who you're talking to. You might be talking to the next Mark Zuckerberg or, Marcia Zuckerberg. So just be careful. Be careful who you give your attention to and who you direct questions to and how you direct those questions. It's super important.
So Amy, how did you get to where you are right now?
It's been a long time. I think one of the great things about a career is that your relationships are your gold. So treat people in your circle and in your network like gold, because it'll come back around. And what I mean by that is, no matter how hard you work, the people that surround you, you never know where they're gonna end up someday. So, where I got my big break, I was global head of audio at Rubicon Project. That was my last role, but Glenn Argenbright, who was the founding partner of Quake Capital, reached out to me when they launched and said, hey, first of all, he's a mentor and a good friend, but I knew him for 10 years. And so that came back around and he said, I'd love for you to be an advisor. And I never in my wildest dreams thought I could be in VC and be a managing partner of an accelerator. But I love it, love it. It's my dream job. And I'm actually really good at it. So that's cool too. But I would say, how did I get there? Just treating your relationships like gold. And knowing that, people, you never know where people are gonna recognize you. Keep your head down. And also don't believe your own hype. Don't get a big ego. And just keep on trucking. Keep working hard.
So what metrics are you tracking when you choose an investment?
Yeah, great question. So, Quake Capital, for those of you that are not familiar, Quake Capital is a seed stage investor. We invest $200K in every company that we invest in. We run an accelerator program. So we're currently in New York, LA, Austin, and we're launching in Seattle this year. So we take 15 companies. What we really look for is traction. So do you guys have a product in market? Whether it's monthly active users, revenue, kind of in the old school Silicon Valley terminology, is the dog eating the dog food. So that's our biggest thing. So 50%, that's what we look at. 30% team, and 20% technology and product. So we really do look at whether they have traction in market. And we're agnostic. So we take all different industries, but I would say traction is the biggest thing we look at.
And how do you handle failures?
Delicately. It depends on the failure. I think with transparency, to Nicole's point, it's so important to just come right out with it. I'm a huge fan of responsibility and accountability, and especially identifying a failure before it becomes a big deal is great. And just owning up to it, and you learn the most from your failures. So getting feedback right away from those around you and those that you look up to. So yeah, that's what I would say.
So I'm going to segue into some of the founders of our startups, so we can bounce off each other and go back and forth. So let's start with Swellen. Swellen.
Yes, hi.
Hello. So give us a little background. How did you begin your company?
Sure. So I started the business in 2007, and had I had a business advisor or anyone with any brains, they would have definitely told me not to start a business, because basically I had no idea about anything. I had moved to a new location, so I had no network, I had never finished a qualification, so college here, university in Australia. I dropped out of university or college 3 times because I just don't learn that way, but I tried. You know, I went 3 times. And I didn't really have that much experience in my industry, which was basically HR consulting for small to medium business, but the only reason I did it was because I hated the industry so much and I found HR people so annoying that I felt that I needed to disrupt the space. It was 2007, so it was the start of the global financial crisis. I had no money, no family, I had a 3-month-old baby, and so basically the perfect time to start a business. but I did actually have 2 things, which in hindsight were incredibly valuable. So I had a really clear vision. I knew exactly what I wanted to create. Completely unrealistic, but at the time I was like, I'm going to go international, which I can't believe I'm actually here in New York now because I am international, who would have thought, but it was ridiculous at the time. And I was going to disrupt the HR industry and I was going to inspire all these people, and this is what I thought when I was sitting in my spare bedroom that was literally this big with the baby. And so I had this vision that I was just so clear on, and I had this enormous amount of naivety because I never saw any of those things, those adverse things or the lack of, I never thought about them. It wasn't until much later on in my business journey when I started sharing, like people were actually interested in it, that I would say, oh, well, this is how I started. And I think, wow, that was really interesting that I didn't, I had all those things against me, but I just hadn't thought about it. So the naivety was actually one of my biggest assets. Now I've got a lot more on the line, so I try not to be as naive, although I've just come to New York with no idea, so I'm still drawing upon that. But it's a sort of a lack of fear more than anything. So I think it was just all passion and gut and I can do this, which got me going. And I just knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I put my blinkers on. I've never once looked at a competitor. I'm not the slightest bit interested in what anyone else is doing. And I just forged ahead. And everyone along the way, lots of men told me that I was stupid. Every time I had a baby, I've had 3, they'd say, oh, you're going to close your business now? Oh, so that business thing, that's over now, is it? Like, honestly, there's people along the way that were just constantly knocking me and telling me that I was never going to make it, and and at one point my whole life blew up, and so everyone was telling me that I'd close it down, and I just didn't listen to any of them because this was my dream and my vision and my life, and I've just gone ahead and done whatever I've wanted to do, and it's been as simple and as complex as that, basically.
So how did you raise money and approach investors?
So I'm a bootstrap entrepreneur. So all of my businesses have been self-funded, and you never say never, but I doubt I will ever raise investment. I understand in this day and age that investment is very important in some industries, but I'm very passionate and a big believer that you're not truly in business until an actual customer will pay with their own money for your product and service. And I think that we are jumping into investment well before we've dated our own business and really understood it. So for me, I think being lean and having nothing creates innovation and resourcefulness. And I'm in business because I love the game. I love the whole process of trying to build something from nothing. And I get the investment space is a different path, but it's not my path, and it's not for me. And I think this is an important message because there's more than one way to skin a cat. You don't have to go down the investment path. You can self-fund, and I had nothing. I did some work, and then I bought a printer, and then I did some more work, and I bought some paper. Like, that's literally how I did it. And funny that, but it's like that's how business is. Like, that's the bones of it, and that's how I've done it. And that's the way that I choose to be an entrepreneur. And now, having gone into tech, we are bootstrapping the whole thing, and we're actually growing it through this very interesting concept of getting customers. It's longer. It takes longer. It takes longer, but it's my way of going for it.
So we're going to segue into Alicia and come back and forth.
Hello.